Hey guys, Joe from Cincinnati here, and I got another game with my Crab Splash Scorpion deck. This is the final game of my Discord League tournament. It's against a Scorpion player for Dream, who is, approximately a 1700 to 1800 level ELO player, if that means anything to you. It doesn't mean anything to a lot of people who watch my videos, I'm sure, but, we have a guy tracking the relative skill per se of the people in the league, and this guy is considered a good crab or a pretty good Scorpion player. So it'll be interesting to see how this Scorpion Splash holds up against a good Scorpion player. So I start out with basically my ideal setup, which is a Witch Hunter, a Keeper Initiate, a Kaio Envoy, and an Iron Mine. And I'm gonna mulligan out, let's see, 2 cards, and I have a Way of the Crab, an Assassination, a Watch Commander, and a Hermes Skirmisher. He has a, whatever they're called, the Variable Ground, a Blackmail Artist, a Yunako, and a Manipulator. So he is first player. I won initiative, so I made him first player. He plays his Manipulator, I play a Kaio Envoy. Pretty standard, and we both pass. The reason I passed was because I'm looking for either a charge or a Fate Worse Than Death. And I don't see either, but I do see all 3 of my Watch Commanders. So my deck is telling me to pressure Dishonor this game. So we'll see how that goes. Let's see here. So he passes his first conflict. He's got 10 cards in hand and 6 Fate. So he must not have Kachiko. But I see no real reason to declare any conflict until he declares a conflict of his own. Because I only have one conflict character, and I think I'd rather play it and use them both in the Earth Ring to get the Keeper Initiate out. So I end up doing the Earth Ring for 2, and I hit Secret Cache, which is annoying, but there's nothing I can do about that, right? I mean, every province that Scorpion has is really good, so there's really no reason to worry about which one you're going to hit on the first attack. I covert the Manipulator just so that he has to either play a conflict character in hand, favorable ground this guy in, or lose the conflict. All 3 are fine options for me. So he picks a card with his Sacred Cache, and now he has to decide if he wants to move his guy in or not. He doesn't defend, obviously. Let's see here. So, and on turn 1 I did bid 5. This is something that I've learned for Scorpion, is basically just bid 5 with them until the honor starts getting lower. And then at that point you can start bidding 1 or 2 or whatever you want to do to try and dishonor pressure them. But there's really no reason to start the game with dishonoring them, because then they're just going to have a big hand lead and you're not going to be able to catch up. So I'm winning 2-1 and I just pass. If he's got a card to win this conflict, that's okay with me generally. And he plays the Yojimbo, which I'm pretty okay with, to be honest. So I'm losing this conflict, so I figure I'll just weigh the crab, see if I can get rid of that 1 Fate Manipulator on the board. Just to see. And he ends up canceling it with a Forge Edict, which I am perfectly okay with. Like, in terms of cards that I don't want my opponent to have, Forge Edict is basically at the top of the list. So him using one on a Way of the Crab that is kind of just a throwaway action. Like the Kaio Envoy was leaving at the end of the round. I'm getting the Fate and the card from him just a little early. It was basically a win-win for me. So he dishonors his guy, but he gets to keep him. He's a 0/0 that's dishonored, which might be better than just the character leaving, for me anyway. And I flip another Kaio Envoy, a Shuichi, and a Witch Hunter. I think I buy a Witch Hunter, right? Yeah, I buy the Witch Hunter with 2 Fate. And the reason I do that is because I have these 3 Watch Commanders, and I want to have a valid target to play the Watch Commander on. And I bid 5 again. Like I said, there's no reason to bid 5 until we actually start. There's no reason to bid lower than 5 until we each start actually losing honor. and I whiff on the charge again. Um, I draw, let's see here, two rebuilds, a court games, a bonsai, which I'm just running one bonsai at this point, and a stoic gunzo, which I'm running just one stoic gunzo at this point. So, at least I got the stoic gunzo. I have a little bit of flexibility, something to do with this 5 fate in my hand that I have in my pool right now, but I don't have to force it. I can do it, when I see fit. So, um, I'm generally pretty okay with the idea of just kind of chumping out a military here, see if I can get rid of that unassuming Ajimbo, and knowing that I have an assassination that I can play if I want to, for that that one to the whatever the blackmail artist. So I attack military void, just do a 1, and then I hit shameful display, which is fine. I don't like it, but I'm not bummed about it. So I play my stoic gunso out onto the board. Alright. Do it. Alright. And I put 2 fate on it. And I did this for 2 reasons. I have an iron mine, right? So he can't really assassinate it because I have this iron mine that will prevent him from dying from an assassination. So putting 2 fate on him is pretty safe. In addition, I have 3 watch commanders, and I want a valid target for all these watch commanders to be put on. So I really want some characters that are going to stick around, do work for me, and are going to be in multiple conflicts. And a stoic gunso is a very good card to have in multiple conflicts because at a moment's notice he can just jump up to 5 military strength. He calling in favors away my watch commander, which, I'm not happy about, but I'm not really unhappy about it either, because I have all 3 of them. It was really fortunate that I had all 3, and he's going to start really grinding down his honor here if he keeps trying to play cards in this conflict. So I'm winning 3-3, and he bonsais, which costs him a fate, or costs him an honor from watch commander. And then he kicks it, so that cost him 2 honor. So now he's at 7 honor. Now what I could do, I can bonsai to get up to 5 or maybe 7, and then I could sacrifice the envoy to get up to breaking range. So I bonsai, right? Did I? Oh, I assassinated. Right, I assassinated the guy, but it got censored. So now I bonsai, because I'm like, alright, no way he has 3 cancels, right? And he does. But he's at 5 honor now. He spent a lot of cards in this conflict. At this point, I kind of wish I had put 2 characters with 2 watch commanders in, because he'd just be like, just blowing honor like crazy. But now I sacrifice the Kaio Envoy to go 6-6. So now I'm winning but not breaking, and I'm gonna get rid of this unassuming Ajimbo with the Void Ring. All for what is essentially not all that much investment on my part. And then he plays a Pathfinder's Blade on the character to go 6-7 and pays another honor for it. So he really didn't want me to Void Ring that unassuming Ajimbo, which I understand. He also knew my hand, so he knew that I probably didn't have anything else left after that. So he knew that it was a safe play to stop the win there. So I'm thinking about it here for a second just to make sure that I'm not forgetting anything, but I end up just passing. So he wins the conflict ring, but it cost the void ring, but it cost him, what was it? Was it 5 honor? It was 5 honor. So that was a win by my standards. Like there's nothing about that that's not a win for me, in my opinion. And I did speak to him after the game, and he did mention that it was very painful to play all those cancels into Watch Commander, because they do add up very quickly. He does an air ring, which is expected, he is at 4 honor, he needs to get up to something better. I did not. Here's one thing. I didn't stand the Gunso because I wanted to defend with this character before sacrificing it. It cost me an Iron Mine and a province, the Shameful Display, to do it, but I don't know. Like, would it been better to just sacrifice the thing and just put the Genso back in the conflict and just be done with it? I don't know. Like, that's one of those decisions where you're not really sure what the most efficient path is, but I think that getting a defense out of this Haruma Skirmisher before sacrificing her is probably a fair play. He uses a Pathfinder's Blade to cancel his Shameful Display trigger, and then uses the Air Ring to go back up to 6 honor. So not 6 honor to 6 honor. And now I just play my Watch Commander on my Witch Hunter, my third Watch Commander on my Witch Hunter, because I want to do a ring and just know that I'm going to. What? Oh, because it was political, I was worried about Kachiko. That's why I passed that conflict. Not sure why I attached a Watch Commander, though. Maybe I was indecisive. I don't know. Maybe it was an indecisive moment. So he passes his conflict because he doesn't want to run into 2 Watch Commanders. You know, honestly, I probably could have just attacked with both of them, and then he couldn't play Kachiko. I would almost certainly win the Earth Ring, and then I could get a Keeper to just... I don't know. I don't know. It's a tough call. I didn't want to get Fate Worse than Death because I didn't have a save on the board. I had a rebuild, but he could have canceled it relatively easily. Although he did already play 3 of his probably 5 cancels. But I just didn't want to risk it. I wanted to keep these Watch Commanders on the board at all costs. So that's why I ended up doing it that way. So I flip Satoshi, a Witch Hunter, a Crisis Breaker, and a Borderlands Defender. And I just buy Satoshi with 2. I figure he's going to pass first, so there's no reason to fight for it. And then I just Satoshi, and Satoshi gets me another Fate on him, so that's fine. And I draw a Reprieve, which, you know, in the context of this game, Reprieves aren't really all that useful, because there's always calling in favors that just kind of can always just potentially take it. So, I'm waiting for him to declare a conflict. He declares a military of some kind at Defend the Wall, a military fire. So I want to win this conflict, right? Because I don't want him re-honoring to not lose the honor. I am very interested in winning this conflict on defense. Now, the problem is I didn't really have a good answer for who to... Let's see, sorry. I didn't really have a good answer as to who to sacrifice with the Witch Hunter to stand somebody up. So it was kind of sad in that regard. I was planning on getting Keepers, but we'll see if that works out. So I defend with these 2. It's 5 to 7 because I used my Stronghold. Let's see if he has any cards that he wants to play in. He just passes, and I take the opportunity to Policy Debate and bid 1. And look at his hand here. So he has a Fate Worse than Death, 2 Court Games, an Assassination, Calling in Favors, Bayushi Kachiko, For Shame, Way of the Scorpion, Bonsai, and Policy Debate. So the option immediately becomes: do I want to get rid of Fate Worse than Death? Or do I want to get rid of Kachiko? The thing that ultimately helped me make this decision was I can kind of just let political shit happen to me, right? But Fate Worse than Death is in both conflicts. It's in both military and political. So I want to ultimately just get rid of that. Especially since I was intending, like I said, just do a military conflict. And then looking at his hand, a military conflict of Earth here is... I have 5 strength there. The most he could muster is he's got 2, 3, and then like 4, 5 with Bonsai. He probably wouldn't kick it because of his honor. Or he could do Way of the Scorpion for Shame to bow him. But if he's spending 2 cards like that he's going to lose 2 honor from the Watch Commander. At which point I'm kind of okay with that scenario. You know what I mean? Like if he's spending 2 cards to go down to 3 honor, but it stops my Earth Ring, I can live with that. generally speaking, I can live with that. So anyway, that was my thinking for why I defend like this, and my thinking for why I discard this Fate Worse than Death instead of Kachiko. So I pass. I'm winning. I trigger Defend the Wall to dishonor his guy with 0 fate on him. And the reason I chose him is just to prolong the you know the whatever you want to call it, military, the dishonor pressure. So my plan here was like, I declare an Earth Ring. He probably defends with one of his guys just to stop the unopposed, and then I get the Keeper Initiate. I remove the Keeper Initiate to stand somebody, but then he plays Kachiko into the conflict and loses an honor, which is interesting because now he has to play a Bonsai for this to make any sense, which is another honor. But he knew what was in my hand generally. Like he played a policy debate last round, so he knew basically what was in my hand. So he knew that I didn't really have a military buff at this point. So he needed to get to 6, and then he'd win the conflict and stop me from getting my Keeper Initiates, which I think I have 2 in the bin right now. But he loses an honor to play Kachiko into the conflict, and then he plays Bonsai to lose another honor in the conflict. So now he's at 3. And I can't do anything about this, so I just pass, I think, because I have no way of getting higher at this point. So I just have to let him win this conflict, but it cost him 2 honor. So it's basically like a double air ring. Like the Watch Commander gave me a double air ring at this point. So that was an interesting play. I understand exactly why he did it. He wanted to make it so that I could not win the Earth Ring to get those keepers, because getting keepers are just the best dishonor tool in the entire game, and they are stand tech for the Witch Hunter. I mean, they're just everything. So now I have a good long think on what I can do, because I cannot let him win. I know that he's going to do a political air ring here. So he's got, let's see, three political coming at me, and a court games. So he couldn't get up. He couldn't get up to like 4 political. And he has Way of the Scorpion and Policy Debate and For Shame. So I know that I cannot use Satoshi. Satoshi is not worthwhile here. And I actually for a second considered just sacrificing Satoshi, because these 2 Watch Commanders are doing so much work for me. Maybe it'd be worth it just to sacrifice Satoshi and go into this conflict with a standing Witch Hunter, and then the next round I get a standing Stoic Gunso. But yeah, I said that hurt. I ended up sacrificing a Stoic Gunso with the Watch Commander to stand the Witch Hunter. It was not a happy moment for me, but I just had to do it to prevent this ring, because if he declares with these 2 guys and wins, then he gains like 3 honor back. So he ends up just doing a water ring just to collect the fate. I defend it, win it, and move on with my day. He loses 2 honor from his 2 characters going away here, so he's at 1 honor. I just discard the cards because at this point I'm looking for Karada District. Karada District would be really helpful here, because I really wanted to basically ignore a possible calling in favors. Like, I did not want him to calling in favors away my Watch Commander, and then I lose the ability to dishonor him this round. So anyway, I just buy out my board basically, and he actually lets me get the Passing Fate, so I don't use the Satoshi dupe because I was given the opportunity to do Passing Fate. And again, like I said, I used Satoshi's ability. I was looking for Karada District, but it didn't work out. And here, I know that I have to do an Earth Ring, or not an Earth Ring, sorry, an Air Ring, because I don't want him getting the Air Ring. I don't even want to risk him getting the Air Ring, which if he had Kachiko, he just guarantees gets it, right? So, what I have to do, I have to declare a conflict with the Witch Hunter for the Watch Commander in the conflict, so that he basically can't like Fate Worse than Death if he happen to draw it, or anything else really, right? So I know that that last thing is fire because most scorpions run meditations in a Tau. They don't run a water province normally, or if they do, it's under their stronghold with Rally to the Cause. So I felt pretty safe doing this military air of 6. He'd have to severely overcommit to win it on defense, at which point I'm pretty okay with him just winning the ring and then not getting the value of the ring. So I'm declaring with 6. And at this point, I was actually surprised that he didn't calling in favor as my final Watch Commander, because he had a calling in favors in his hand. We saw that from the policy debate, but it just wasn't a high priority at the moment. So I was waiting for him to do it, and he just never did. I think that he was saving it for a reprieve, just in case the game went long and he needed to save he needed to stop me from saving one of my big characters. So I declare this air ring, and he has two honor left. So basically, if I win, then the game becomes virtually impossible for him to win. He only has 2 fate, so I know he can't Fate Worse than Death me. So here we go. So what happens here? He defends with 6. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He defends with 8. I could just use the Guardian to go up to 8 right off the bat to match him, but he has Yunako's ability to flip things. So if he flips the Steadfast Witch Hunter, then I'm down 2. And let's see here. I go 8 to 6. I go 8 to 8, and then he'd flip me, and then I'd be 6 to 8. Am I doing my math right there? No, yeah, it would be 6 to 8. So I knew I needed something else to before I could do that. So I rebuild an Iron Mine. I didn't really care where I put the Iron Mine. I just needed it for the Heated Guardian. So I go up to 10. And it was at that point that Yunako's ability no longer matters. So he passes because he literally cannot play a card. The Watch Commander, he literally cannot play a card into this conflict. So I win. I take an honor from him. I don't break, but I take an honor from him. So he's down to 1 honor. And then I sacrifice the Guardian to stand the Witch Hunter. So he has 1 shot, right? He's got one thing. He's got one ability to really recover from this, and that's winning a political conflict with that blackmail artist. And I don't think he has it in him, because he attacks with 8. Now here's what I was thinking. The Witch Hunter right now is 2 political strength. He's got a Watch Commander for 3 and an Ornate Fan for 5. Once I Stronghold, he's up to 6, so Yunako can no longer send him home. And then the Borderlands Defender just cannot be sent home. So Kachiko cannot affect either of these characters that I'm defending with. In addition, he cannot play any cards because of the Watch Commander. So I know right here, as I'm clicking done, that I've won this conflict. And since he attacked Defend the Wall, I can dishonor one of his characters on the rebound as well. So I just pass. I choose my 2 defenders. I'm just doing my math real quick just to make sure. I pass. Done, and I Stronghold. So now I'm winning 8 to 10, and he has quite literally nothing he can do. So he just has to pass. I pass as well. I dishonor one of his characters, and he says that's game. He messed up. So anyway, let's see here. Is that the end of the game? Yeah, we just ended up talking for a little bit of, for 5 more minutes. We actually ended up talking for another 15 to 20 minutes after I stopped recording. He's a very, very cool guy. Just we talked strategy, we talked card decisions and strategy about this matchup. The Scorpion Crab matchup is very interesting right now because Scorpion players, um, like, what am I trying to say here? Scorpion players, I've heard say that the Crab matchup is Crab favored, but then Crab players say that the Scorpion matchup is Scorpion favored. So it's a very interesting game where both sides feel disadvantaged in the game for some reason. I don't really know why that is, but it just the feeling is very much like they both are very good at switching. So like Crab can switch dishonor from military, Scorpion can switch dishonor from political. So they're very similar in that regard, and it's actually why I really enjoy talking to Scorpion players in general. I know that like I give Scorpion shit a lot in my games. Um, like watching the streams and during my streams and everything like that. But I really do find the clan interesting, and it's interesting how much they affect the meta, um, especially right now with the Fate Worse Than Death and Forged Edict and all that. So anyway, this was my first game with the Scorpion Splash against the Scorpion player. I didn't actually see any Scorpion cards, which was a shame because I really would have liked to Fate Worse Than Death a Scorpion character. I feel like it would have been a very satisfying way to end a game, but it just didn't work out that way. So anyway, I hope you all enjoy the video, and I'm going to post this. Hopefully soon. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.